What up, Razzballers? Welcome back to the program. It is week 2, week 1 in the books. Great afternoon and a couple of evenings of fantasy football. Hope you came out on top in week 1. For those of you that did not, we got your savior as well. We got a fun one today. We got Matty Stiles and Jeff Kezar. I am Sky Guasco. We are getting going here on the waiver ads, trade targets, and do not draft players after week 1. Stay water, my friends. We're live on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. What up, everybody? Welcome back to the program. I'm your host, Scott Guasco. Very happy to be back with another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. We got the boys in tow here. Let me get this off the screen. Amateur hour. Sorry, folks. It is week. I got some computer glitches I wasn't going to mention because it's unprofessional, but now we're into the show, and here we are. So I have to let everybody know I'm a robot today. Sorry about that. We'll get into it. We got week 2 on the docket. We got Matty Stiles up at the top here, next in our insider, making sure we're up to date on the latest news for the waiver wire ad for week 2. That is Stiles 08. So we got Jefferson up in the other corner here. We got Jefferson _ 21. Somehow Jefferson _ 21 was taken. So instead of audibling the whole name and, sticking with the primetime number, maybe it's LT, nobody knows, but we're just going to add an extra underscore. I respect that. My name is Sky Guasco. We are with you all season long on waiver day. And we want to make sure that we get waiver wire ads in. We want to make sure that we have buys and sells for trades. We have a lot of players that popped out of nowhere. We have players that really surprised us in the negative, unfortunately. We want to make sure we don't overreact too much in week 1. But this is also when you can find a Puka Nacua, a Kyron Williams from last year. So is J.K. Dobbins that guy? We shall find out. Jeff's also going to give us the do not drop list, which are those players you're not panicking too much on, those guys that we drafted. Maybe a Josh Palmer or an honorable mention. One guy that I've been excited about. Didn't do diddly. We'll see what happens. It's boom or bust, but I'm sticking with him. Let's get it going, though. We want to make sure everybody's following everything Razzball on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. That's on X, Razzball NFL. Subscribe right here to the YouTube channel, Razzball Fantasy Football Show, and download the podcast anywhere you listen to your audio, Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast as well, and all of our articles and exclusive tools helping you win your Razzball Championship available at football.razzball.com. Gentlemen, week 1 is in the books. Take 2 seconds each. With all your leagues across all the boards, are you dominating? Did you not do so well? 50-50. Styles, you're up first.
I think I went 7-3. One loss was under 2 points. The other 2 were my home leagues. So let's say the 7 wins I don't care about. I only want to win at home. But I'll take the Scott Fishbowl win. I'm in the middle of the pack for my Razzball league, but I've got some plans for that. So about 7-3, and Razzball is not pleasant right now, but I'll get back to where I need to be.
It is only week 1, folks. Stay positive, Matty. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, 50-50. So not too down, not too up, but it's only week 1.
I like to see that. Nice, humble approach there. I am in 3 leagues on Sleeper and 2 leagues in Yahoo. Not a sponsor, it's just where my leagues land. No offense, ESPN and everybody else, CBS and whatever. I won all the Sleeper leagues, and I lost both of the Yahoos. So must be a formatting issue. All right, let's get into the waiver wire ads, folks. It is week 2. Matt Stiles' article is live. Always ready to go for your waiver ads. He's got quarterbacks, he's got running backs, wide receivers, and, of course, your tight ends. Matt, I'm going to let you just give us your top dog from each position, and everybody can go find the rest of your players at football.razzball.com. So heading into week 2, man, again, a lot of great players who drafted high didn't do so well. A lot of dogs who weren't really paying attention to, spurred out of the moment, and might be available on your waiver wires. So who are the top guys you have at each position?
I know our friends on the West Coast, they got to start making dinner soon. I'm getting ready for a big presidential debate here on the East Coast. It's going to be a trip.
Good luck.
I don't know if we're going to do a drinking game here at home for each time that one of the two starts talking, even though their mic is muted. But it's either that or we just go to bed early and call it a night, because I don't know if anybody's going to hear anything that's going to move the needle. But enough politics. Jordan Mason is my ad of the week. He is currently about 58, 59% rostered. If you have him, you probably won yesterday. If you don't have him, you're going to have to pay up in your fab to get him, unless you're on play in one of those leagues where it's waiver. There's no fab involved. It's just priority. I will say this: Christian McCaffrey's injury on paper now appears to be worse than any of us knew. It seems like there was maybe some secrets being kept. They called it a calf issue, and now they're saying it might be some form of arthritis. Not good for a guy that's only 18. Take it from me, right? Arthritis is not good when you get into your upper 40s or mid 50s. It's a bad look. I limp around quite a bit. I get up out of a chair and my knee makes all kinds of noises. I don't know where they come from. I don't know if it's bone. It's clearly not muscle because all of that I left on the softball, volleyball, and soccer field. So it's clearly not muscle. My ad of the week for quarterback, I don't even know why this guy is on any waiver wires, but there's a kid that plays in Tampa Bay named Baker Mayfield. Here's a fun statistic for you as far as quarterbacks go. Week 1 of this season, only 2 quarterbacks threw for over 300. You care to guess who those 2 are?
Baker Mayfield.
I know.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Baker and Stafford.
It's Stafford and Tua.
Oh, yeah, Tua.
Only one other player threw for over 290. That was way back on Thursday night. That was Patrick Mahomes. 4th place with 289 yards and how many tutties? 1, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns. It's Baker Mayfield. So he threw for 289, 4. He added 21 on the ground. Again, Mike Evans is a cheat code. Chris Godwin back in the slot. By the way, he plays who does he play this week? Is it the Lions? No. Is it the Lions? It is. And the Lions just got smoked in the slot this past week. So give me all the Baker Mayfield you can. Sneaky behind Jordan Mason at running back. Sky mentioned him earlier. J.K. Dobbins is not rostered as much as you would think. So if you want to put a secondary bid on Dobbins, if you think you're going to get outbid for Mason, I love Dobbins moving forward. I think he is going to, again, can't predict health. I like him better than I like Gus Bus, so give me Dobbins as well. Now, wide receiver, former Packer, great. Alan Lazard looked fantastic last night once they realized that he can catch and they can trust him. He's not going to be better than wide receiver 2 for the Jets, especially if Mike Williams ever gets a pass thrown his way. So my sneaky ad is going to be Demarcus Robinson, who played well even in 3 receiver sets with Puka and Kupp last year, which shouldn't happen a lot. But he showed he can be a standalone receiver for the Rams. Harkening back to what I just mentioned, Stafford, one of 2 quarterbacks to throw for over 300. So give me Demarcus Robinson as my wide receiver. And my tight end, anybody that doesn't know Isaiah Likely, like I wrote in the article, if you don't know, Sky,
now you know.
Now you know. Isaiah Likely is legit, has been legit. He just hasn't been involved enough in the offense. Mark Andrews will be okay, but you can throw Likely in a flex position and probably enjoy what you're going to get from that player. At a certain point, Coach John Harbaugh's got to realize Nelson Aguilar is washed and has been washed for a long time. Rashad Bateman, first-round pick, they got to get over it. He's not the guy. I would put Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews out there, get a matchup on linebackers, and go nuts. So for me, Mason with a 1A to Dobbins if you don't think you can afford Mason or if he's gone. Baker, give me Demarcus Robinson, probably slightly over Lazard for the long-term play because we don't know how bad Puka's knee is. And then all of the Isaiah Likely possible I would roster as well. Those are my names for the week 1. Well, week 1 heading into week 2.
And of course, you can find all of the rest of Matt's honorable mentions at football.rasball.com. And if I remember correctly, let me check the stats quick. Yep, still accurate. 1,000%, folks, reply right from Matty Stiles. That's on Reddit. That's on YouTube. That's on articles. The impossible is done possible here at Rasball. So you hit up Matty Stiles for advice. He's coming hard with the entertainment. And you'll probably also get some advice back as well. All right. I like how you squeeze in your boy Baker Mayfield there, top 12 quarterback. Baker Mayfield starting off hot again for you this year, Matt. Well done.
That's all he does. He just wins.
All he does is throw 4 touchdowns per game. Well done. League-wide average, folks, just in case anyone's interested, 200 passing yards this week. League-wide average, 200 passing yards. That's the worst in 25 years.
Oh, and I've got a good one for you. The starting quarterback, non-injury related, that threw for the least amount of yards in week 1. Anybody have a guess?
Threw for the least amount of yards.
I'll give you one hint. Sky, Guasco, and Matt Stiles faded this clown all draft season.
Well, I have to imagine it was Aaron Rodgers, but let's go with the rookie, number 1 pick out of USC.
93 yards from Caleb Williams.
Hey, man, got the dub. That's all Chicago cares about. I dig it. All right.
The Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer, and I'm done.
Hey, not quite on pace right now either. On the other side of the fence, I'm pretty sure that Sky's number 1 quarterback in this draft class, Jaden Daniels, had a pretty terrible NFL game, but for fantasy, 30 points almost without a touchdown. Not bad. All right, folks, I'm moving on here to the trade targets. Matt's got a waiver wire article ready to go. Jeff's coming up with the do not draft list. Again, if you're just joining us, Jamie always in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. You can find everything on Rasball NFL on X, and of course, subscribe here to the podcast and the YouTube channel, and all of our articles and all of our tools available at football.rasball.com. Okay, 2 buys, 2 sells for you. Travis Etienne, Jags, coming up with less than they should have. Once a game. Jeff, a big Jags fan. I'll let him go into that later. Tank Bigsby, though. 73 yards on 12 carries, a 26-yard run, averaging 6.1 yards a carry. By Travis Etienne, though. The work is there. It's possible. This offense is going to be just fine. First game of the year. It is what it is. He scored a touchdown. Should have had a second one. Fumbled it out of the back of the end zone. The opportunities are going to be there for Travis Etienne. We remember last year, the first month of the season, he was on fire. I think it happens again. If you need a running back, I would go try to get Travis Etienne right now, buying him as low as he will be most likely the rest of the season. So check an eye out on him. And if we're going to go with Jeff's team, I got to go with Matt's team. That's the rules. Jaden Reed, my man, blew it up on national television, making it happen. Now, Malik Willis is going to be the quarterback here with Jordan Love out for about a month. But hopefully Malik Willis can throw screens, and he can throw 2-yard dump-offs, and he can hand the ball off to Jaden Reed. We've been calling him Debo Light for 2 years. We saw that again. He had 2 very impressive catches. He had 4 catches on 6 targets, 138 yards. One of those was a 57-yard run after catch. The other one was a great little Chris Berman on the 33-yard touchdown where he made a dude look silly, scampering into the end zone. Over 100 air yards. We love our air yards here on the program. And he ran a route on 73% of his dropbacks, which is getting him the opportunity. Jaden Reed is my other buy for trade targets. On the other side of the fence, Rachaad White. We talked about the Bucs earlier with Baker Mayfield. The passing game was elite. The run game was not. I faded Rachaad White in my running back articles all summer long. I like the player. I like the PPR upside. But if he's not getting the PPR upside and Bucky Irving, go Ducks, is in the mix, then it's not going to be great for Rachaad White. He was absolutely carried last year on touchdowns and receptions. If those aren't there, he's going to be in trouble. Bucky Irving, the rookie, led the team in 62 rushing yards on 9 carries with a 31-yard run and 7 yards per carry. Rachaad White, he only had 31 yards on 15 carries, 2 yards per carry for those of you math majors. And again, Baker Mayfield, 4 different touchdowns. So I just don't see the opportunity there yet with the Bucs. So Rachaad White would be somebody I might be trying to move off of. Him and Etienne were drafted about the same, so you probably can't make that directly. But if I could go like Rachaad White for J.K. Dobbins and somebody else on a roster, something like that, to fill a hole, I would absolutely do that. And then finally, my sell on the quarterbacks or on the trade side is going to be Javonte Williams. And I know, Jeff, I'll give you a second to defend yourself if you'd like to, because it's only week 1. But the reality is Jaleel McLaughlin, 10 carries, 27 yards. Gross. But Javonte Williams, 8 carries, 23 yards. Gross. Seattle did play. Basically, they're playing against Bo Nix. Go Ducks. So they want to make sure that they stack for the rookie and make it tough for him. Makes sense? There was no run game at all. Now, is that just because they have a rookie quarterback, couldn't make it happen through a couple untimely picks against a decent defense on the road in Seattle, or is there just not much of a running game? And is Javonte not healthy from his knee injury from last year? I'm a little bit concerned about that. Audric Estime is also available and getting some opportunities. So for me, I just don't love how he looked on his limited opportunity. Not having great stats is one thing, but if you don't look explosive anyway, I don't love that. I liked Javonte a lot coming into the season. I drafted him a couple of spots. Not an impressive week one. So I would move off of Javonte Williams for the Broncos and Rashad White for the Buccaneers. I would try to acquire, if possible, Jaden Reed of the number 1 wide receiver and hybrid running back for the Green Bay Packers. And I would also look to acquire Travis Etienne as well for the Jaguars. Honorable mention there as well would also be Amari Cooper with Deshaun Watson in tow. And we're not going to be discussing his situation off the field, which is back in the news. But on the field, he looked pretty abysmal. Now, the Cowboys might just have the best defense in the league outside of the 49ers. That might be the case. Nonetheless, Deshaun Watson looked bad, and Amari Cooper wasn't able to produce. We know he has boom-bust possibility. I would buy low while you can. There should be better games ahead, especially if famous Jameis is out there gun-slinging it. So keep an eye on that one there as well. Gentlemen, quick feedback on that. Jeff, I burned a few of your guys. I apologize. Matt, I got to big up your dude. Jeff, I'll start with you. Pluses or minus on any of the guys I mentioned?
Yeah, no, kind of spot on with Javonte. I was a little disappointed at his volume coming out week one. So I don't know if Sean Payton is playing mind games with us or with his team. We'll see how that backfield splits out. I do like the Etienne. I think Bigsby got more involved due to the fumble. Bigsby did look good, but Etienne had some good moments as well. So it could be good buy low for Etienne right now. So I do like that.
Matty?
I love ETN. And I will say, are we talking only ETN, or are we on to Bucky Irving, Rashad White territory as well?
I dig it. And on the other side, and of course, folks, we just mentioned Matty Stiles going hot in the chat here from Razzball Fantasy. We got Epic Fail tuning in, BV8 as well. We got some waiver wire questions already. Nathan in the chat for us also. Quick reminder, Sunday morning, if you weren't with us this Sunday, we'll be back every single Sunday, 2 hours before kickoff for the Sunday live show where we answer all of your pregame kickoff questions, trade target questions. We have up-to-date injury reports from Bob as well, weather reports once we get to that type of the season. So make sure you're checking in right here on Razzball, the Sunday live start sit show. Nathan's asking, who do we offer to get the guys that I had mentioned? It's hard for me to do that. And I know it's a cop-out, Nathan. I apologize. But the reality is every roster is so different. It's really hard to know who you have, what the value of that player is in your league, what your settings are, and all that kind of stuff, right? What I generally try to do this time of the season to make a trade is I'll look at a guy like I want to acquire Amari Cooper. What were his general stats versus expectation? Then I would look across the aisle and look at somebody that overproduced, maybe a Jaden Reed, for example, or something. I want to acquire Jaden Reed, but if you don't need him and you'd rather have Amari Cooper long-term for whatever reason, you might sell high on Jaden Reed and buy low on Amari Cooper. Something like that, right? So I just try to find, like, the namesake is not really what I'm looking at. It's the performance of those players and then add in the namesake there as well. So kind of a cop-out answer, Nathan. I apologize, but for me, it's not necessarily apples to apples because all these leagues are so different and it's really hard to just list. I could list you 100 names and you still might not have any of these guys on your team to move. So we're going to stick away from that, unfortunately. Okay, let's get into it. Jeff, you are up, my man. Do not draft players. So these are players that, like, we don't want to panic, right? I mean, some guys came out and just laid an egg. Maybe it had nothing to do with them. Maybe they're a wide receiver and their quarterback was bad. Maybe they got a bit injured. Maybe they just didn't have the opportunity or had a decent game but didn't score, so the numbers were low. Don't panic too much on these particular players. Jeff, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so this one, kind of looking at Yahoo and looking at players who are being dropped considerably. The first one is Blake Corum. He's in the top 3 of players being dropped. I know he didn't play really sparingly week one, but, Kyron did miss 4 games last year. and Kyron did play 71 out of 78 snaps. We all came into the year wondering if that was going to be 50-50. Looks like Kyron's still going to be the workhorse there, but if he were to miss time, I don't think Ronnie Rivers is taking the majority of that backfield. So sit on Blake Corum. Don't drop him quite yet. It's only week 1, and you don't want to be the guy that drops the top handcuff in a Sean McVay offense and regret it come week 7, 8, 9, 10. So just sit tight. He's a guy you may want to add in your league if he got dropped. Another one is Gus Edwards. He's being dropped over 3,000. Players or teams are dropping him. I know Dobbins looked great, but when you look at the numbers, Dobbins played a little bit more snaps, about like 9 more snaps, but for touches, they were equal, 13 apiece. I think this is going to be a timeshare throughout the season. And I know JK probably has the most upside and more explosive plays, but you can't just drop Gus Edwards after week 1. He's still going to be a guy that's going to get 10, 12 touches every game. And if JK, unfortunately, I'm not saying this because I have in my league, if he does miss time, Gus is that guy with Kamani Vidal stepping in there. But just don't drop guys like this too early in the year. Josh Palmer is another guy. I know McConkey looked good. He's being dropped a lot. The one name that's really, really surprising that I saw, and this is another player that's being dropped over 5,000 times, is Rome Odunze. I know he has a knee injury, but he's not going to the IL, so he's week to week. I just don't get why you're drafting Rome Odunze and then you're cutting him after a bad game because of a knee injury. I mean, he did see 4 targets, not a lot, but he's not getting the injury designation, so he could be back in 2 weeks. So just don't get why you're cutting guys this so early in the season.
I like that. Also, I want to put an editor's note in here really quick. Matt, I'm going to jump to you in 1 second, but I also want to make sure that people don't drop, I should say, Christian McCaffrey, who didn't play, and just make sure you don't drop him. I think he's going to be probably okay once he gets healthy there for you. Matt, I know you're hitting up the chat incredibly. Just boom, boom, boom. Again, 1,000%, folks. It doesn't come without blood, sweat, and tears. My man, Razbowl6 is holding it down. I'm not sure if you heard this, Matt, because I didn't see a smirk on your face, but I heard it. And Bob's not on the program, so we are contractually available to talk baseball really quick while the season still lasts. Jeff just dropped a IL. Did anybody else in the chat happen to catch that?
Yeah, my bad.
IL is baseball, folks. IR is football. IL is baseball. It's the same thing, but it's not. And so, Jeff, I just want to throw a shout out to our baseball friends out there. So on the other side of the Razball world, those of you getting ready and in the midst of your baseball playoffs, we hope the best for you as my Giants are out. I stopped watching baseball 3 months ago. Okay, we have a lot going on in the chat. Matt, is there anything that's sticking out to you specifically in the chat? We got a lot of questions, obviously. You guys are throwing numbers out here. We got Derek Favret, great friend of the show, also fellow contributor to the Quad Box. What is it in here in the chat that people are going crazy for? Epic fail. Is it worth it to use my number 1 waiver priority on Likely if I have Pitts already? He already has Mason. Matt, I'm going to go to you.
So I asked a question. Hopefully Epic fail is still on. My question would be, who are you going to drop? That's where your answer comes in, right? If you have Blake Corum, I probably say yes, because I don't know that you need Blake Corum right now. He's not going to score a lot of points right now, but the long-term play is probably Likely. If it's somebody like Trey Benson, like Derek mentions below, I'm all about adding Likely for him. If you've got a deep wide receiver, Xavier Legette or somebody like that, sure, drop him and pick up Likely. What we know about Likely is Lamar trusts him and he's going to play. I think that, again, this is a purely gut call. I think they're going to start going to 2 wide receiver sets plus Zay Flowers, which will make it, 2 tight end sets. And it'll make it look almost like 3 wide receivers, right? If Bateman and Aguilar end up at the bench, you've got Justice Hill coming out of the backfield or Derrick Henry running between the tackles. Those 2 2 tight ends, that's how good they are. I can't even get their position right. I think they could operate as almost like wide receivers. So give me Flowers with a lot of targets, but I think Likely and Andrews can coexist. Lamar trusts both of them. And it's possible that Andrews was still a little dinged. They were still a little iffy. And maybe if the coverage goes over to likely, that's the time to maybe trade for Andrews if somebody's panicking on him. But I asked Epic if he's got where is my response? Basically, who would you drop and what are your settings? So if it's tight end premium, then yeah, go get likely. If it's full PPR, even better, get likely. But I'd like to know who he's looking at dropping. Then we had VV Ocho, and I've answered this one as well. You guys can chime in. Quick question. If you guys have time, we always have time for the listeners. He lost Love on Friday night. Pour a little bit out, please, for our guy, Jordan Love. Another guy is offering him Jaden Daniels and Zamir White. I almost stopped reading there and said smash, accept. But then I saw he wants Jamar Gibbs in return. So our guy in question, VV8, has Gibbs and Kenneth Walker III, 10-team PPR is his context. I am of the opinion that with these quarterbacks on the wire, you do not trade Jahmyr Gibbs. You add Baker. If you don't get Baker, then you add Sunshine or Geno and just wait out the Jordan Love injury. I do not think that you need to panic and deal away Jahmyr Gibbs. Fellas?
100%.
Right.
I wouldn't trade Jahmyr Gibbs quite yet. That's a panic because once Love is back, what are you going to do with Jaden Daniels? Trade him away or sit on him? You just kind of gave away your first round pick or second round maybe.
Absolutely.
I
hate to put this up knowing that we work for Bob, but Jamie's bringing straight fire stats. What do we think about the fact that Kyron with a 2.8 and 1.3 in yards per carry and yards per reception? Not good numbers. But 91% snap share.
Right. He was going to be in my cell, and I'm going to wait one more week because I don't want Bob firing me for missing the first quad box of the season and also burying Kyron Williams early. So I'm going to give him one more week, but it's not looking good. And the fact that Blake Corum didn't have a snap, basically, and that he's wide open on waivers that Jeff mentioned earlier. I mean, that's somebody that you can go out and get pretty much for free. So Kyron's got a short leash, I guess I should say. Should I go pick up if I lose HN? I mean, again, Waiver Wire article is available. Matt's already answered that. Obviously, Jalen Wright is going to be that guy. Jeff Wilson, shout out to my boy, who's going to get some work because, we got that Niner history, then they go way back. But I would, go check out Matt's article. He's got a number of names. He had only mentioned one or two, but, again, it's week one, folks. So HN would be a guy you put on IR if you lose him, but I would not freak out or drop or anything like that. Derek Frederick coming in with hot stats here. Trey Benson, third in snap count, 13% behind James Conner, 67%. Amari DeMarcado. Am I dropping Trey Benson? Absolutely not. But I drafted Trey Benson waiting a month. When you draft Alvin Kamara in 2017, when he's third on the depth chart, you're not drafting him worried about his stats. I mean, you're killing a roster spot knowing the potential. I love James Conner, and I can't bury two of Bob's guys or I'll definitely get canned. So big up James Conner, but Trey Benson's waiting in line. So, I mean, yes, he's third in snap share. I get it. He's a rookie. It is what it is. I think by week 4, he's at least getting the second amount of snaps. And if anything happens to Conner, he's going to be that dog, at least on first and second downs at goal line. So no chance I'm dropping Trey Benson.
And remember, with NFL running backs, if you look at the history of NFL running backs, a guy like DeMarcado is the third down, and he's kind of the emergency back. Even though Benson's third on the depth chart and probably third in snap count, if Conner goes down, knock on wood, he usually gets dinged, 1 or 2 games. They're not going to move DeMarcado out of his position as that third down and emergency back. They're going to elevate Benson into Conner's role so that they only have one player that comes out of their role, and that's the starting running back. And Benson can handle that workload. He showed it in college. The other player that I find similar to Trey Benson that you drafted as protection would be Trey Sermon, right? Showed flashes for do you know what team he played for when he started off, Sky?
Trey Sermon? Yeah, we don't talk about it.
Okay. May have been a West Coast team. I don't want to go out on a limb too far, but it may have been a West Coast team. But again, Jonathan Taylor is usually dinged at some point in the season. That's why you take a kid like Trey Sermon and you put him on your bench. If you have injuries and you have to drop, yes, they're low-hanging fruit, but do your best to keep those guys because, like Sky said, you don't draft them to play them in weeks 1 through 4. You draft them as collateral for weeks 5 through 14 when you know they're going to get some run.
Yep.
And I don't know what this means. Clearly, Derek has his favorite on the show. Whatever is whatever. Back to Tyler. He can get Madison. He's the gentleman that has the Achane injury, but he also has Jerome Ford. I think you start Jerome Ford over a lot of different running backs with that offensive line. The questions with Deshaun Watson. And by the way, if we can get the good news story that Deshaun Watson is gone or he is benched, everybody on this show loves Jameis. We all agree one of the funnest players in the league, and we don't care about interceptions. Let Jameis cook.
Yeah.
So I would say unless you can pick up Madison for relatively free, you start Kenneth Walker, you start Ford, and you wait for that injury to work itself out with Achane.
Totally agree. Epic Fail wants to know if we're just keeping on to that number one priority still with that situation we had talked about earlier. So it's really about burning that priority if you're worried about pits, you're looking to get pits and that kind of stuff. So again, week 2, you got a number one priority. Sometimes you hold these things on for too long and miss out. Other times, you shoot and miss. So just, be careful with that. And waiver priority is a lot different than fab. So waiver priority to me is more valuable than fab.
Yep.
Because I can get more money, I can trade for money, I can work money differently throughout the season. Waiver one, you might not get a number one waiver priority the rest of the season, depending on how your settings go. So be careful with that. Nathan, I got a quick answer here for you. Shout out to Jonathan Stewart. Go Ducks. Also, Ed Dixon. Go Ducks. Carolina's going to be bad for a long time.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
Bucky Irving.
Oh yeah, but Bucky Irving's on the Buckaroos.
Yeah, but I thought we were going down the Ducks roster for a while.
Oh, dude, don't get me started. Cody Nada? I mean, don't get me started, Matt. If you want to go Ducks all day long, and we can talk about Patrick Chung, LeGarrette Blount, 3 rings. We can go all day long. All right, San Francisco with Sermon and Mostert on that team, and then Jamie follows up gloating. This is how you humble brag, folks, on a nationally television show. I remember selling Mostert, Sermon, and Freiermuth for some kid from LSU, Jamar Chase, that year. Thanks, Jamie. We all feel worse about ourselves. Appreciate that. Nathan wants to know.
Yep.
Nathan wants to know Kyron for ETN. Jeff, I'm going to you.
I'd rather ETN. And there was a question earlier for ETN, like who to trade away. It might be a hot take, but I think Ramondre Stevenson, this is a peak time to trade him. I think that was a great game script for the Patriots. I don't know if he's going to see 25 carries a game. So I might try to sell high on Stevenson and try to get ETN.
Nice. I like that. I'm also going to go ETN over Kyron. Matt, you as well?
You know me, right? I've already piled on Kyron, so give me ETN.
Yep. Still the same.
You don't have to make me say it out loud. We're already in enough hot water, and Derek clearly likes Jeff more than us. So I'm guessing that it's probably you, me, and the new guy, Cruz, in a battle royal against Jeff, Bob, and Derek, and it's not going to be pretty.
Fair. I'm not worried about it. If we start talking 1950s baseball, you guys can just pack your bags. That's all.
Speaking of which, we have a new Guess the Hat today.
Oh.
I'm trying to see the color scheme on the logo. That might help a little. Is it black? Is it straight black? That's tough.
This is the same color blue as this is.
Oh, okay. So it's royal blue. Whew. All right, folks. You're gonna have to give me a minute or two. Okay.
You get 3 questions you can ask.
It is baseball, obviously. Okay. So, I mean, the automatic is Mariners, but I feel that's too. Yeah, it's not Mariners. Okay, that doesn't count because I didn't actually want to do that. Royal blue.
I think I know what it is.
3 questions.
3 questions. All right. I'm going to go league.
American League.
League. one of the Hall of Famers' initials.
R.A.
Okay. And the best era of this particular team, like decade-wise.
90s.
American League. I'm going to go Detroit Tigers.
No.
Ooh. Felt good with the royal blue there. Matt? Or Jeff?
With royal blue. Gonna say
Bo Sox?
KC.
Blue Jays.
Oh, the Jays.
Nice. I didn't
Now,
see
who
the
was
white
RA?
coming. You hit the white.
Roberto Alomar and the team from the 90s.
Oh, Roberto Alomar Jr. too, up the middle for the Indians back in the day. Oh man, That was my favorite team back. 1995, dude, is my favorite squad ever. Actually, 97 technically, but anyway, Jeff.
I was thinking he had a Cubs hat.
I do. Not today.
Yeah, he went American League. I just didn't. Nobody's actually a Blue Jays fan, and I didn't see the white coming. Jeff also has a hat on backwards. Is that a sports team, Jeff?
Nah, it's Rasball.
Rasball.
I'm a company man.
Now we know why he's a favorite. It's ridiculous.
That's a great professional segue, folks. That's how we do it. I'll have better reception next show. Come and check us out next week. Make sure you tune in to the rest of the episode here. We got one more question from George Play 01. If this is Costanza, we need photo evidence. Hey guys, should I use my number one priority to pick up Irving or Bigsby? 2 backups in week 2. Love to see that. If so, who should I drop? Trey Benson or Blake Corum? Oh boy. So, gentlemen, we're going to do this quad box style with the tri box. I need your top 2 of these 4 players. Matt?
Golly.
They're all the same, right?
They're pretty similar. So let's look at offense. I think Rachaad White is going to turn into heavy-duty James White, where they know he's not great between the tackles, but Bucky Irving can run between the tackles. Could be one of those two-headed Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams types. So give me Irving. I know Derek is a Bigsby fan. I'm actually with Derek. Save your number one priority. But if I had to put them in order right now, it's probably Irving and Benson.
Jeff?
Yeah, it's just depends if you need him like right now or long-term stash. If it's right now, obviously Irving probably. I still think Etienne gets the majority of the carries. So I would say Irving and Blake Corum. I just think Corum is going to get some touches here at some point, so I'd rather hold off for that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go Irving, go Ducks, and I'll go Bigsby because we saw the work, so I like that, and then we'll go Trey Benson and Blake Corum right now. But right now, I'd keep. I go for Irving if you need to, and then I would also try to get Bigsby if you can't. Otherwise, also nice shout out to James White, one of my favorite players that nobody's going to remember in 5 years, and love that dude throughout his career. Awesome. Other running backs are Barkley, Gibbs, Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason, Javonte, and Jalen Wright. Jeff, would you drop?
Yeah, you're good.
Drop Javonte for any of that? Yeah, I think you're good. Okay, we're going to get out of here, folks. We're at the top of the hour here. Having a great time once again on a Waiver Wire ad show. We got the trade targets for you as well, and the do not drafters. Be careful for week 1. Do not overreact, but stay vigilant. We got 1-0s. We got 0-1s. Maybe a couple of ties, depending on the league settings. Let's make it happen. We're going to give Stiles 30 seconds to reply to our last contestant, and we're going to get out of here. Once again, you can check out everything Rasball on X at Rasball NFL. Subscribe to the Rasball Fantasy Football Show on the YouTube channel right here, and you can also download the podcast. You can also find all of our exclusive tools and all of our amazing writers and free articles at football.rasball.com. And do not forget, folks, every Sunday between now and January, you can check out the quad box right here on Rasball Fantasy Football Show. You never know which analysts are going to show up, but we're going to come in hot. We're going to get you weather reports. We're going to get you injury reports. We're going to get all of your start sit questions and trade target answered. Make sure you come and check us out once again on the Rasball Fantasy Football Show. It's been a pleasure. Never a chore. Thank you so much, everybody, chiming in tonight. We appreciate everybody. We'll have a great time. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the fantasy baseball playoffs. Best of luck to everyone. We'll catch you next time on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. Good evening. We are out of here.